Welcome back to Telltale Books. I'm Greg, and I'm continuing my 2024 Nebula finalist coverage with another in the short story category by an author that I've never come across before, though this author has been publishing since 2018 and has published so far 33 works, of which this story is number 32 in my list. Published in October 23 of 2024 in Reactor, the Tor Books online magazine that used to just be called Tor.com. It's now called Reactor. And for a while I was trying to cover everything that was being published in early 2024, and I kind of gave up on it. Well, this was published last fall, and it is a Nebula finalist for Best Short Story in 2024. Basic synopsis of the story, and I believe I kind of lifted this right from the introduction to the story on Reactor. The vampires aren't even the worst part about being a teenage trans girl on Tumblr. Okay, yes, there's vampires in this story, but the story really is all about identity. And there's very little fantastic, speculative, or science fictional or horror content to the story. So it's a tough one to say that it really belongs, but okay, it's here. It was published by Reactor. It's a Nebula finalist. Can't really change that now. But just because a story is not a genre story, does that mean we shouldn't be rating it and shouldn't be considering it? Telltale Books, we admit the existence of the genres, but we read from all the different genres and classics and everything, nonfiction even, because we don't think, the genres are just marketing constructs to make it easier to sell books, make it easier for people to find what they like. It has nothing to do with whether or not a story is going to be good. So to insist on those genre boundaries, to be a gatekeeper saying this is science fiction, this is not science fiction, really doesn't serve a purpose. What we gotta do is just ask ourselves, is this a good story? This story, I can't say I enjoyed the story. I can't say I liked it. I'm definitely not going to call it a top tale, and I don't think this should win the award for Best Short Story. I'm going to say that straight out. It's my least favorite of all the stories in the short story category. The story is focused on the total confusion we have right now regarding how we should refer to people. It's one that me and Samantha kind of came across. We were reading a psalm for the Wild Built. Enjoyed it, by the way, but in that story, the main character, the monk, is given the pronoun they, and everyone else has more normal pronouns, which when you're reading it just makes for a lot of confusion, because we're so attuned to identifying the word they as groups of people, not a single person. We're so attuned to that mindset that when we're quickly reading a story like that, it just gets confusing. And if you're going to use they as a singular pronoun, then what do we use for groups? I said to Samantha, I'm going to have to start talking like her and start saying y'all. She got a kick out of that. I don't have solutions here. I personally have confusion as to what I'm supposed to be doing then. I don't know. It's a mess. And that's what this story really brings out, is this mess of how do you communicate when there's so many different terms, so many different pronouns, so many different identities, and you're not sure where you land in the whole mess. You know, it seems like every day I'm coming across some new word people are using to describe themselves, and it's like, well, what does that mean? I never heard that one before, and you got to try and figure that out. And how is that different from this? And how are they all different from this? And it's like, it's just a mess. It's communication breakdown, and we really need to just simplify things here. But I don't see that happening soon. It seems to just keep getting worse and worse and worse. And this story really, really brings that point to the front and focuses on how it is so difficult to figure out where you fit identity-wise when there's just so much to try and sort out. So in that way, and I mean, this is written by somebody that identifies as they, and identifies as a trans person, and the main character in the story is a trans girl. So this is someone in the thick of it on the liberal side of the whole equation, mirroring my own confusion about the whole situation. I hate to say it, but it does make you kind of want to go back to men are men and women are women, and that's it. It was so much easier to figure things out. I know what the why behind everything that's going on. It's just confusing, and that's, unfortunately, even though that's a very relevant topic today, the way the author handles it is really well done. But that's what makes the story kind of break down, is the fact that it is confusion and there's no solution offered to the problem. So you don't get out of the mess by the end of the story. And I think that's what I like least about it, is the fact that it raises the issue and does a really good job of pointing out the problem, and then just leaves you hanging in the middle of it, which is where we all are anyway. So, I don't know. The fact that this makes you think, the fact that it might piss you off, the fact that it, is so confusing, maybe that makes this a really excellent story. But for me, it made it one that I just left with a bad taste in my mouth. Did you like The Vampire by P.H. Lee? Or do you have other thoughts about it? Put your thoughts in the comment section of the video. Let's hear them. And I don't know if I'll ever find time to come back and read any others by P.H. Lee. You never know. I kind of would like to sample at least a couple other stories by this author. But otherwise, we're going to do lots and lots more videos yet. Come on back. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and join me